I had a dream last night that when I posted my video, it got about 500 views and 10 new followers on YouTube. I was very happy to see that. It goes to show that as much as I've tried to put all that out of my mind, it's still there. In my dream, I was just happy to see that people liked the new video. There's another dream I had last night that I didn't want to write about. It seemed too grim. I was taking care of another baby, a boy. He was a bit older than Nora. I think we were in a swimming pool. There was something wrong with his eye. In the dream, somehow I knew that it was okay, that it happened to some newborns, and he would grow out of it. It was like the color part of his eye hung out of his face. I was in a hotel somewhere, and as we were trying to sleep, I remembered that I forgot his sleep sack. His limbs were flying everywhere, and it seemed impossible to get him to sleep. We were walking afterward. I had him in a stroller. I saw an old friend of mine from Calgary. He told me he'd written to me many times, but I never responded. Still, he said, he continued to write. Because inevitably, he wasn't writing to me for my sake. He was writing to me for his sake. It was like he'd given up on me and had accepted that I did not care about having anything to do with him. I don't know if I'd reach out to him at this point. It seems like too much time has passed. I still have a book of short stories that he must have lent me a long time ago. I remember telling him that I would give it back to him, but he told me to keep it. He said that one day he would ask for it back. I reorganized the side door of the fridge. I put the sodas on the top shelf, the milk in the middle, and the cheese at the bottom. I came back upstairs and sat down to write. It's more ordinary than not to feel like I don't have an idea as to what I should write, but I've noticed that the feeling of not knowing what to write, its discomfort and awkwardness, has a way of always feeling new. It's usually a matter of focusing. I had to narrow down a perspective into something specific enough that it can be managed. As I write this now, Nora is screaming from her crib. It seems like often when I'm writing lately, she's screaming from her crib. Miriam's gone in to see Nora. She's finally stopped screaming. Instead, she sighs and hiccups every so often as a result of the crying. We went for a walk this afternoon. We put Nora in the stroller. We got a coffee to share and then went to the library to try and find Miriam a book. She didn't have much time to look since Nora's nap time was coming. She found something, a science fiction book that they made a movie about a few years ago. I watched some of it on a plane once. There was a scene where they cut open a guy's stomach and I got faint and had to turn it off. Nora was fussing on the walk home. We took turns holding her. We thought it was because she was teething. My mom messaged and told me that my dad's radiation and chemo will start next week on Tuesday. When we got home, Miriam gave Nora a bottle and put her to bed. I made us each a turkey sandwich. I called my mom while we ate. She told us more about what they knew about how my dad's treatments would go. We ate quietly afterwards. We talked about something or other, I don't remember. I saw that I'd dropped some mustard onto my shirt. I tried to wipe it off. It's still there. I was sitting in my chair. Mouse came over and looked at me in a certain way that I knew he wanted to sit where I was. I got up and fixed the blanket for him. He's sleeping now. Writing seldom flows easily. Instead, it comes in small waves between a lot of forced effort. More often than not, it's difficult. It feels like I'm spending a lot of time making a senseless mess. Like I'm smearing food around the table, yelling and banging my fist on the table. As Nora learns to eat, to grip her food and to aim it in her mouth, I learn to balance the words, but inevitably most of them end up all over my face and clothes and fall into the ground for the dogs to come and eat. When Nora woke up from her nap, she looked happier. Her cheeks looked more rosy than usual. Miriam held her to look out the window. It seemed like the sun was bright somewhere, but the clouds were large and hazy and covered most of the sky. I held Nora in front of the mirror, lifting her as high as I could and then dropping her down so that she would laugh. I'm thinking now randomly about the Domino's pizza on Oakwood. We walked past it yesterday on the way to the library. I'm thinking, though, of the time we picked up some pizzas there a few months ago. Sometime in the fall. I think it was raining out. I'm treading water next to this thing. I'm unsure what will come if I climb onto it or if it will sink or not. I began reading the Brothers Karamazov yesterday. Tried to read it before, but I didn't get through it. I got lost in it. I'd like to give it another go. I read through the first part last night, about 30 pages or so. There's something that stood out to me more than anything about Zoshima the Elder. A quote from the book on page 27. An elder is one who takes your soul, your will into his soul and into his will. Having chosen an elder, you renounce your will and give it to him under total obedience and with total self-renunciation. A man who dooms himself to this trial, this terrible school of life, does so voluntarily, in the hope that after the long trial he will achieve self-conquest, self-mastery to such a degree that he will finally, through a whole life's obedience, attain to perfect freedom, that is, freedom from himself, and avoid the lot of those who live their whole lives without finding themselves in themselves. The paragraph stood out to me, and that I've spent so much time trying to find myself in myself. I don't know what the alternative is, and it seems that understanding the opposite is an incredibly sacred and impossibly disciplined path to go down. After reading the paragraph, I felt like I would go back and start the book again, with it in mind to see if I could place it in the context more. The book is clearly beyond my ability to understand for so many reasons, but I'll go through it and see what I can get from it. We're having brisket for our Shabbat dinner tonight. Afterwards, we'll probably just watch TV. Tomorrow, we're going to drive out of the city to go on a walk in the woods. We'll probably go out for lunch somewhere. I'm thinking of my dad. His chemo and radiation start on Tuesday. It's possible that he's going to feel sick for many weeks during the treatment. I hope that this weekend he's able to feel okay, to also go out for a walk. Mouse came and jumped up into his tree. Miriam put a new blanket up there and it's made it very cozy for him. The sun is angled perfectly onto him. He loves to take in the warmth. His whiskers stand out in the light. I sometimes forget how long they are. He's slowly closing his eyes, getting ready to take a nap.